let's continue the thread of zigzag. That's something I learned early on from my mentor back in Detroit. Zigzag, up, down. Can you first explain what the zigzag theory is in sports betting in a series and why it no longer is as persistent for you?
Yeah, so it was as simple as just take the team that lost the last game, and didn't cover, and bet on them the very next game, because the idea is that there's a baseline that the odds maker and the bettors are putting these series on, and they're not varying those lines from game to game, but just the situation of one team is ultra motivated off of a loss, and the other team oftentimes they fall into bad habits where they said, well, we did this and we won, so why should we change our game plan at all? So it's very predictable, so the other team can make the adjustments, the losing team, whereas the winning team doesn't make adjustments, so the losing team has an advantage against the spread moving forward. Now, unfortunately, what happened is that the bettors caught up to the zigzag. The best zigzag situation was when you'd have a team lose 2 in a row. All right, so they come off a loss, game 2, and they're down 2-0, and they come home, and then you see just extreme line moves, especially in the first half, where it wouldn't be unusual where you'll see a team that's the worst team, and they're catching 5 in game 2, and then game 3, they're laying 5, and they're laying 4.5 in the first half. It's just crazy how the market is caught up to some of these circumstances.
And you mentioned Phoenix, Memphis, and Cleveland in your notes today, obviously with the home team losing game 1.
Yeah, so I selectively, the Milwaukee qualifies. I'm worried about Giannis's bad back. I don't want to make a huge investment. I'm worried about Memphis and Shah, and also the fact that they had injuries coming into the series already. But I have no concerns about Phoenix, and I have no concerns about Cleveland. So those are very clean situations. If Phoenix was laying 7.5 game 1, and you're like, Fez, why are you laying 7.5 game 2? They looked bad. I'm like, exactly. They still went on a great third quarter run. If they were, unless they were a horrific bet game 1, you could argue maybe they were. Game 2, they have to be a good bet.
Steve's point on the adjustment by the bookmakers is very good, because you look at college football, you see Bama and Ohio State at home playing some directional school that's in there for a paycheck. They'd be a 28-point favorite. First half line should be about 14. They'd be 17.5, 18, potentially even 18.5. The numbers have gotten so skewed because they knew they were getting pounded on some of those games where they were covering easily. Now, all of a sudden, you're throwing a bit of a monkey wrench there with an 18. So if the other team gets a field goal, now you've got to score at least 3 touchdowns just to be able to push.
Used to be back in the day, way back in the day, they would just cut the full game in half, and that would be your first half.
That's exactly.
It's totally different now.
Yeah, and pros in their head, I don't have the whole chart memorized, but like a 24-point favorite should be 14 on the first half, unless it's Alabama, and then it should be 15, because Alabama is a tremendous first half team.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.